ASISA Foundation is one of three parts in what we call ASISA Foster the Future. The first component is the ASISA Foundation, which is responsible for providing consumer financial education to individuals, households and communities across the country. Essentially as a tool to equip people and empower them to make decisions, financial decisions as they live their lives into the future. The second component is the ASISA Academy. The Academy is responsible for expanding on the talent pool within financial services in our industry, particularly savings and investments. So we have individuals that wish to consider careers within financial services, and they would take on courses that would inform and educate them as to how we operate, and some of those courses are job specific. So if you're looking to be a fund administrator working for an asset manager, you would consider that, or compliance officer. And they also assist with those that are within employment and are looking to have opportunities that they could be promoted into, and they upskill themselves, and that is the ASISA Academy. Third component is the enterprise supply development, and that is through member and non-member contributions, assisting Black women-owned small medium enterprises that could form part of the service providers for our industry. It also includes the likes of some of our professionals who operate as independents but are supportive of the industry, such as financial advisors, in educating and informing them, in also helping them start up their own companies where they can form part of the distribution channels for our members. So you have the ASISA Academy, you have the ASISA Foundation, and you have ASISA EST. They form part of what's called Foster the Future. They all three operate relatively independently, although they carry the name that is ASISA by virtue that they were founded for specific objectives that are part of the ASISA strategy into the future. It's important because you have to think back to the past of how ASISA even formed. So ASISA members are formed out of different organizations, such as the Life Office Association, such as the MASA, which was the Investment Management Association of South Africa, collective investment schemes, and they came together to promote savings and investments South Africa. So in the origination of having up to 125 members that range somewhere between 6 and 8 trillion rand, it was important to make emphasis that a foundation would need to be established to promote savings investments. And by that I mean, if you empower people on the knowledge of how to manage their financial affairs, you also create them as a potential pool or marketplace, both to address their own needs, but also for our members to grow and have essentially a larger pie. So through the foundation, the education that they get is brand agnostic. There's no promotion of any particular member. There is just education and informing of the tools that are available to help manage your life. If you consider the population is more than 50% women, and women are not as proportionally represented, the idea that you can assist them and empower them is one that is key. It's a key objective for the ASISA Foundation. And you consider that approximately 80% of the population are Black African, and focusing on informing and educating everyone across all descriptions, whether they are rural, urban, whether they are Black or white, rich or poor, will address your transformation objectives in being able to inform, how shall I put it, demographics of the country. So it's important that there are no preferences, and in addressing consumer financial education from a population dynamics, you inherently address transformation, equity and inclusion. I think it is, because if you consider that an employed person typically has 6 or 7 dependents, and in their planning, including responsibility of having a will, that is how you preserve wealth for the next generation in a way that you can plan, in a way that gives them a foundational platform for them to prosper even greater than the foundation that they inherit. I think that's important. Those are things that are not commonly known, unless you have someone within your own family or network that has that skill, you wouldn't know. So to be able to afford people the opportunity of understanding that they can plan to that extent, even their education in terms of how they consider savings products, whether they are through collective investment schemes or whether they are through endowments. These are ways that which a family that may not immediately see the ability or the means to be able to plan for a future education of their child, they will get that through the consumer financial education. And I consider that high impact. So the 10 years that the foundation has had is also speaks to staying power and the commitment that ASISA has made to continue to grow the industry and the marketplace, and to afford everyone essentially what we like to think of as an equal opportunity life, no matter where you come from, and also to put you in a position where you can plan for your dreams and your goals, and that's good for the industry. We've been fortunate that whilst in incorporating the foundation, the focus was on our members to pay it forward, to make a valuable contribution in an agnostic way that is selfless, but that grows the industry. We're also in a position where we celebrate the impact that we have on people's lives. It's important to note that given that it's national, it's across every region, every province, whether it's rural or urban, because you never know where greatness comes from. And for me, that's probably one of the most important points about what we do. So I grew up with you grow up only the way you know, because you only grow up in your household. So my father would say, when you're at work and you work in a capitalist environment, it's everyone for themselves. When you raise a family, you raise it in a socialist way. We all rise together. Every child is different, but they must have the same opportunity and potential in you recognizing their own talents and gifts and affording them that opportunity and embracing their difference. So for me, that's how I've always lived. You have to pay it forward. It's also why I took on this job. And the normal person doesn't appreciate that selflessness strengthens you. They see it as a potential competitor, but in competition you also improve. So for me, one of the things that helps balance me is that I have an adopted son who I met through odd circumstances. He essentially was working at a shop, and he sold me a pair of shoes and a belt. And I asked him what he wanted to be. He said he wanted to be a doctor. I asked him if he thought he was good enough to get into med school. He said he could. Then I said, if you can, I'll pay. And he got in, sliced through medicine like a hot knife through butter. And now he's studying orthopedic surgery. That's someone no one else would have seen. That's someone maybe I haven't seen as I live my life. But when I had that feeling, I moved with it. People make a distinction between gut and instinct. It's experience. You've always got to pay attention to it. So I took on this job because there's growth in us all from the lowest of us rising, because then we will all rise together. And it's not everyone that understands that. So when I talk about promoting savings and investments, to educate it is to empower. And it's not always in a easily defined way, but you never know whether the one who will show us the direction of the future will come from. I can certainly say they won't come from where you think they will. They invariably don't. So I'm second generation university, and my parents are academics, but I would tell you they're probably some of the brightest people I've ever met. But the way I was raised, I never had any clue, only that I must use the power of the mind. So I like to work with the likes of Lucian, because she will speak her mind. I don't want to work with people who just say yes because I said let's go that direction.